The following stream contains mature content and subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to McStabber Studios, Kansas City, a domain divided meet and greet. I'm going to be the storyteller of this upcoming chronicle, and of course, I am Shanky McStabber.
I am Mama McStabber, and I will be playing Caterina Roccosi in this chronicle. She is she's interesting, but we will get to her history in just a little bit. I'm gonna let my fellow players also introduce themselves.
I am Timber Brad, and I'll be playing Andy Sawyer.
Hi, I'm Mischievous Red, and I'll be playing Gwen Schultz.
Hi, I'm House, and I will be playing Bo Solomon.
You can tell it's live. Somebody did that order. Go ahead, Ree.
Hello, I am Ree, and I'll be playing Rashad Giovanni.
And I'm Dale, and I'll be playing Callum McFarlane.
So for this particular meet the cast here, meet and greet, you can call it, we're doing it a little different. You'll notice we didn't show the intro yet. And that'll come up in a few minutes here. But first, what I want to do is I want to go around the table before I talk any bit about what's the Chronicle itself. I want to go around the table and we're going to let each player tell you a little bit about who they were as a person and reveal the clan that embraced them. So we're going to go start with Relin down there, Mama McStabber.
Well, Caterina grew up in New York City, in Brooklyn. And she was the youngest of three children in her family. Her family was a revenant family. Her grandmother was a Zamitsi, who became bishop in New York. And her brother got embraced and murdered her sister, her oldest sister. She was always a willful thing, being the baby of the family. And when her brother one night during, the wars and such that went on in New York City around the late 90s, came to the house looking to feed on the family to heal, she broke a chair and threatened to stake his ass if he didn't go somewhere else. Yeah, she was a revenant, and at that point was already ghouled to her grandmother. She was brilliant and went to college. She became a surgeon, specialized one. She does plastic reconstructive surgery, specializing in urology. And she is known to do reconstructive surgeries at hospitals as needed, but also does bottom surgeries for transgender patients. She's married, has 2 children, a son and a daughter. Her husband is also a plastic surgeon. He's more in the cosmetic line and can do top surgeries. And on her last night in New York, she was embraced by her brother into Clan Zamitsi.
There's our first player. Timberbread, your turn.
I'll keep this short and sweet, fairly vague. Andy was a instructor in Detroit, teaching religion with a bit of esoteric, supernatural leanings. One thing led to another, and he unfortunately found himself in the crosshairs of a gentleman by the name of Abraham. And on his last day as a human in 2017, became a Tremere.
Yeah, you heard it. Timberbread's a Tremere. Mischievous Red, how about you?
All right. So my character, Gwen Schultz, she's kind of the baby, actually. She also grew up in New York City, but the Upper East Side. But gosh, almost like 30 years after Mama's character. She was born in 97, so she's wicked young. And she was a daughter of a kind of a socialite charity mother and a wealthy commercial real estate developer in New York City. She was kind of shipped off and didn't spend much time with her family, but came back for summers. And she knew that her dad was into some sketchy stuff. And one time when she came home, her mom was no longer there and no one would tell her what happened. So after that, she kind of went on an investigative journalism streak and like tried to find out the truth. And one day she got too close. And so she was embraced ministry.
So we have right now Zimitzi, Tremere, and a ministry. Dale, go ahead. I'm going to let you, since that's the correct order, Dan. Dale, go ahead and introduce your character.
I am playing Colin McFarlane. Grew up in Scotland when I was around 10 years old, moved to the U.S., and after my mother passed away. My father was part of the intelligence community and transitioned to the FBI when we moved to the States. And I decided to get into hospitality. And through various associations and customers, I was eventually embraced by Aventru.
We've added adventure to the coterie. Ree?
All right. Hello, everyone. Rashad was born in the 70s in Chicago to a riveter and a World War II vet. Growing up, he saw the positive sides of family and the darker sides of Chicago at the time. With a focus on his academic career, he saw the activism, the law, not quite work the way he thought it should. So he used that as a motivator to become a lawyer to fight for what he thought was right. Though throughout his youth, he had some strange encounters, some of which taking place at his local church. Some he kept to himself, some he shared with others. Until one evening when he was confronted by someone he trusted and was forced to fight for his life. After making a narrow escape, he was able to join the clan of death, the Giovanni.
So now a Hakata has been added. Finally, House?
Sorry, I thought we were going clockwise. I never claimed to be wise myself. But Bo Solomon, I think he might be the second youngest in the coterie, just ahead of Red's character Gwen. He actually grew up just outside of Kansas City. His parents ran a barbecue restaurant, and he was responsible for helping run that. They owned some land where they had some animals, and he was responsible for helping things on the land. His mom taught him an appreciation for various artistic ventures, while his father taught him the discipline that it takes to really do well in the food business. He also had an older brother who, as they got older, started to resent Bo for how much attention he was getting from their father. Eventually, Bo started wanting to expand his horizons as far as food went, which started to create a rift between him and his father. And at 18, he left and started traveling around Europe to work in various restaurants, learn different culinary skills and cuisines. But eventually, while he was over there, his parents went missing, and still not sure where they are, what happened to them. But eventually he was brought back to the States by fellow player Callum to be head chef at one of his restaurants in Chicago. And during that time, I was embraced as a Toreador.
So there we have our coterie. Tzimisce, Tremere, Ministry, Ventru, Hakata, and Toreador. It is an interesting mix. You might wonder how a mix like this would function. That's something you're going to find out. But before we go any further in this, it's time to show you the actual intro that goes with this. Now, I know this intro is going to raise questions. You better highlight them in chat. As Mama said,
use your channel points to highlight your message. It costs 100 channel points to do it. That's easy to accrue quickly in our streams. Make sure you are following us and you will start accruing it if you are just sitting in chat. And the more you type in chat, the more points you earn.
Plus, you get points just lurking.
You get points lurking, but you earn more if you actually chat.
So here we go. And there's our intro. Calisalvo asked the question right off. That's a lot of Chicago.
Yeah, it is. And that's because our first session is actually going to take place in Chicago.
I'm going to be showing everybody why this coterie left Chicago and moved over to Kansas City. And I had to go with some earlier questions just so everyone understands so that you can ask new questions. Kansas City is a domain divided. It's divided geographically between two states, Kansas and Missouri, but it's also divided among the kindred that live there. You see, Kansas City was a Sabbat city until not long ago. Mm-hmm. With the start of the Gehenna War, Sabbat was left gutted. A lot of them were lost. And because of this, an enterprising Malkavian who had lived there the whole time decided now was the time for the Camarilla to make a move to reclaim Kansas City. And so he declared it is a Camarilla city now. And he put the call out. He doesn't care what clan you are. He doesn't care your bloodline, your breeding, your heritage, your lineage. As long as you support the tower, you're welcome in his city. And because the Sabbat still has a remnant, a very strong remnant, which you'll get to see as we progress, it's a dangerous place. But it's a place of opportunity, because in the kindred world, the number one thing is you got to risk it to win. And that's going to be the basis. This will be a Camarilla coterie. But they're going to be caught between how do they hold their city and establish their city when the Sabbat still runs it. or at least has claimed the entire Missouri side of the city, which is, for those that know Kansas City, most of the city. So before we get into the viewer questions, I got a question that I want each player here to announce. Why did you apply? And go through our audition process, which is, there was a number of rounds for this audition to pick the cast we have. Why did you go through it? And we'll start with Bo Solomon down there.
Oh, thanks. Cool. Put me on the spot. I think for those who I've been in Zoom chats with and been in other McStabber produced games, it wasn't unknown my lack of knowledge about Vampire. There was lots of jokes about, my lack of general World of Darkness acuity. I was very interested in the games where there weren't a lot of streams about it. And again, now that this one came about, I felt like it was just time for the challenge to put myself out there, try something different, try a character that is very different from stuff I've played before. And, I'm not one to turn down a challenge when it comes down to stretching my role-playing ability.
I will say personally, I'm so glad that you applied for this Vampire Chronicle, because I've sat at the table with you in both Wraith and Demon, which are more obscure World of Darkness Chronicles to have. And you nailed it both times. Absolutely nailed it. Your ability to quickly grasp the nature of the World of Darkness environment and just roll with it is so brilliant. So I'm so glad you did.
And I want to point out what House just talked about there. This is his first time playing Vampire.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you've never played a system or played a game doesn't mean you shouldn't apply if it interests you, because we don't look at your experience.
Newbies.
Yeah, we don't look at your experience as the deciding factor.
No.
Sometimes it's fun to get somebody who hasn't played it before, right, Red?
Oh yeah, so much the mechanics of a game are so tertiary to at least me as a player. I'd much rather tell a good story and then have roles kind of dictate it, which is a lot easier to learn. It's harder to learn to tell a story. So if you know how to tell a story and you enjoy that, yeah.
And I said
you can learn rules.
I called Red out there because when Red joined us at our
in
Windy City, it was her first Vampire Chronicle.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mom, I appreciate you saying that too, because I think it when I'm in the Discord chat or the Zoom, I come off as a very, goofy guy making puns here and there. But when it comes to the games like this, I mean business.
Oh, absolutely. And you're great at delivering story. You really are. And that's really what the necessary quantity is in a World of Darkness Chronicle.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Ree, why'd you apply to play with us?
Okay. Well, for me, it was two big reasons. One, I've been a big fan of the World of Darkness for a while, but I don't get to sit in the player's seat too often, especially for a traditional Chronicle. I've done a lot of Discord stuff, but I've also been a big fan of kind of you all in general, and I've been able to play in a few of the other games on there, the Call of Cthulhu games. But I've been a fan of the Chicago by Night game, the Windy City by Night game, and I was excited. And when I saw an application, I decided to take my shot, and here I am.
Here you are. Dale, how about you?
Actually, I started watching some of your streams after coming from another Vampire stream, and just got kind of wrapped up in the community. It seemed like a great community. And as I started watching through some of the Chronicles, and then watching the end of Chronicle cast Q&As and stuff like that, I just was when I saw that you were, having a casting call, I'm just going to apply. And I'm also relatively new to the World of Darkness, because my first experience with World of Darkness was years ago when Hunters Hunted came out.
Mm.
We played 3 sessions, and I played as a human being. And the last session we played, I was actually embraced by a gangrel, but we never played again after that. So
Darn, you quit just as it got good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was when that Hunters Hunted, that was just after it came out. So for anybody who's, you know, a World of Darkness veteran, you know how long ago that was. And so I figured I would apply, and you know, learning the system is it seems to be fairly straightforward, and I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of help. And yeah.
And I'd like to point out as well, just because you're new to the Discord doesn't mean you shouldn't apply either. Because Dale was new to the Discord and applied, and he got in a cast. We don't look. One of the factors we do like to see community participation, but ultimately, what gets you in a cast for a game like Windy City or for Kansas City, can you role play? Do you role play well with others? And can you tell a story? And guess what? We're glad to have you here, Dale.
Thank you very much.
We'll see if your opinion changes by the end of a Shanky game.
That has happened.
I've heard a lot of stories, but I do want to say that the one shots and the audition process was thoroughly enjoyable.
Oh, well, thank
you. I got to learn a lot about some of the different clans because we were forced to play different clans. So that involved a lot of reading and research and learning about the history of each of those clans and stuff. So it was a lot of fun.
For those that are viewers that have been through our auditions, not just the players here, but some who've been through the auditions, I'm not going to say they're hard. They're not. But we do try to vary up different clans.
We try to push you out of your comfort zone to see what you do when you are pushed a little bit. And
different scenarios for each type of audition.
Different clans to play. You know, we like to see how versatile you are and how adaptable you are, because that is a key component to any Shanky Chronicle that he runs. You have to be able to turn on a dime. At times, you have to be able to quickly assess and adapt to new situations or new aspects of situations. So we kind of set up our audition process to incorporate things that simulate that to see how people react to that.
It's a combination of one scene of improv, and then we see what you do when you're planned. It's quite fun. Red, why'd you apply?
Yeah, so I was in Windy City, as I'm sure a lot of people know. That was also my first vampire game, as we've kind of discussed. And I'd also just joined the server at a recommendation from a friend. So obviously I wanted to keep playing because I enjoyed Windy City so much. During the audition process, I was like, man, I miss them. I even put in the cat chat. It's like, I miss everyone so much. So I wanted to continue that, obviously. But I guess the reason why, aside from that, why I enjoy playing Vampire on McStabbers is just because so few people actually want to play horror games without being edgelords about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's really hard for people. A lot of people don't appreciate horror for being like a genre that like actually represents like individual growth of a character and just like overcoming your fears.
Right.
They go from like, I want to scare and terrorize the shit out of people. And like, you don't have that here. You have like the original one, which is what I enjoy about horror. And no one does that. And so when I knew that, I try to audition when I can. And this was like available, like I was available on the days where this is a possibility. So I auditioned again, but yeah.
I try to make it horror in a personal sense, the true meaning of personal horror. Ask Urian. Or you're any when I made him kill his own stalker that he caught the feels for. It's about pushing the characters. You don't cross a line.
No.
We believe in the consent lines.
We don't like to traumatize players at all.
But
we avoid that, but we will push your character.
As McStabber Derek said once, and I live by this one, you want to push the characters to be uncomfortable and the players to be uncomfortable, not to the point where it's a problem, but to bring the best role play out of them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't cross a line, but you want to push the limits of what the players can do because that's how you get the best role play.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Timber Brad, why'd you apply?
So I think for me, like World of Darkness has always been kind of like a bread and butter game for me since I was younger. Like I come from Revised. So I always, and a lot of it is for the same reasons I think that Red said, where the feeling of the way that horror games are done here it's very appealing to someone like me, where it's don't get me wrong, like there are times where I just I want to do the edgelord stuff, but realistically when it comes down to it, it's making that story and like weaving all these different things together. I think it's really appealing to get to explore a game that I've grown up with in a way that feels grown up. And I mean, I always have fun playing with you guys. Like I've played with most of the people, at this table before another game. So getting to experience new role players to like a Shanky game with Dale and Ree, I think is going to be really fun too.
There we go. And Mama didn't have to audition. Mama never has to audition because I would never tell my wife, no, you can't be in my game. That's kind of...
We're only streaming World of Darkness content because I told you I wanted to play Vampire 4 years ago.
Not just that. It's because it's enjoyable to play games together.
It is. No, I could have decided to sit this one out. I really could have. But I opted not to because as my husband was discussing with me concepts, he was in the conceptualization phase of this chronicle, and he will often talk with me about it because he bounces ideas off me to help him flesh out stories, because I'm real good at stories.
And she's another producer of the show, and
right.
I got to make sure that it would make a good show.
And so he discussed it with me, and the more he was talking about different things, he had an idea. Like I'm the one that picked that the prince should be a Malkavian. And then he ran with that, and that the sheriff should be a woman and should be Ventru, and he ran with that, just to show the flip of who normally runs a city. It's that this whole domain is totally different than most traditional cam cities. But then he was telling me the story, and I'm like, okay, I kind of like this. This is going to be an interesting game. And as I mentioned in Twitch chat tonight, it's going to be a grittier chronicle. This is a turf war chronicle. I haven't played that yet. I want to play that because that gives me a chance to stretch my own role play, because I have historically played high clans or high clan adjacent. I'm playing a clan that is not at all recognized in the clan, in the Camarilla, and is known by clan to be associated with the enemy. That is an interesting story to tell.
It's going to be even more interesting as the enemies are unveiled during the chronicle.
Exactly.
I do want to say one thing that the players know, and one of the things Berlin liked about this idea is Chicago. Any player in Chicago is limited in a lot of ways by politics. There's a lot of things you cannot do. Most of the city of Chicago is entrenched. Most of the city in Chicago is elders, very powerful.
Windy City was hard early season.
Yeah. And even later seasons, there's still things you couldn't do. Kansas City's a new domain where the theme for this chronicle, honestly, is what will a kindred do to get ahead and to stake their own claim of undead society? How far will this crew go to escape, events of their past that have caused them to be in Kansas? And how far will they go to make sure that they're the ones who dictate terms, not others?
It's really got the guts of a fantastic chronicle, and it's different than any I've played at my husband's table before. So I knew I just had to be part of it.
Yep.
Mama, if I may say too, I'm very glad you're here. I've been in many a game with you up to this point, certainly first vampire game. But I think one thing that I think is very necessary is, and I don't mean to say this, that you domineer or that you're always the face of a like a face character of a chronicle or a game, but you have very much lead character energy that I think is needed, where you very much are great at keeping things in perspective when we're in a game. If the group gets in a rut, you can help kind of guide things. And this, again,
I am
playing with a
skilled
bunch
at
of
herding
experience-
cats. I get it.
Exactly. Yes. I mean that in the most like sincerest compliment.
Yeah.
Even among when you're playing among a bunch of established players as well, you have a very good knack for keeping the story going, and I think that is something that's needed, and I certainly appreciate as being a new player to all these various games.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, that is kind of what I bring to any table I play at, is that type of play style where I am a plot mover. I am also a collaborator. So I will bring people into scenes with me. We will do stuff together. I will help direct where we need to go to move that plot forward. If people decide not to take my views, that's fine. I'll move plot. Y'all can do your shit on the side. But
First rule of a Shanky Chronicle, and of Shanky streamed Chronicle in particular, is every episode something should happen.
Yeah, something should happen. Something should move towards plot.
The viewer should not go away from the episode and if asked the next day, well, what happened? They go, I don't know. They sat around and didn't really do much.
Yeah.
That's not what you should be showing.
Mm-mm.
There should be something occurring. What it is, it'll vary. Sometimes it'll be excitement. Sometimes it'll be, bite your nails. Sometimes it'll be horrifying. But what it shouldn't be is boring, because nobody wants to watch that.
And I also bring valuable insight because I have sat at my husband's table for World of Darkness and Vampire Chronicles for 4 years. So I know his tricks, y'all.
So I've seen 2 questions from cast in the actual Twitch chat. We'll get to your questions through the rest. Any other cast members have something they want to ask their fellow castmates or their storyteller? I mean, it's up to you. If not, we'll go through some viewer questions.
Yeah, I'll start going through some viewer questions if nobody has any questions right now. You may think of something later. Okay. Mum is the word. So we're going to start with KoFi. Was your clan your first choice, or did the Session Zero bring it to light? I am going to answer that first, and we'll move around the table. I got my first choice. I went in with 3, and my first choice, really based on how I played out her life prior to Embrace, it came down to possibly 2 clans, and it was a matter of a choice of the moment of my Embrace. If I confronted her brother in that scene, or if I ran away. And how I'd played her up until that point, she was not intimidated by her brother, even if he was a fucking Tzimisce. So she was not going to back down. She was going to play distracting him while her family escaped him. And that's why she ended up Tzimisce. She could have ended up Nos if she had ran. So now we'll go on to the next one.
Yep.
And we'll skip Andy because that's a special situation.
That's just messed up. He never would have chosen Tremere.
I can answer it without giving too much away.
Sure, go for it then.
I think I don't know that it necessarily would have been first choice, but after some insight and input, I think it's perfect. Yeah, I'll go with that.
Okay.
Go ahead, Brad.
So it's a funny story. I actually went in with Gangrel, Bruja, and Nos, which, as I'm sure you could see, wrong side. I'm neither of those. So by the time it came around, I could have gone with any of them, really, more so like Bruja or Nos. But actually had the really good idea. It's like, this would be a really interesting concept for a ministry, because her whole thing is that, like, secrets are corrupting. Like, secrets are such a bad thing for people. And so Ree was like, oh, this would be like a really interesting take. It's like, we're all sitting there talking about, it's like, yeah, no, this makes a lot of sense. So no, it wasn't anything I went in. Frankly, I've been so intimidated by Ministry, because Windy City, where they all die. Excuse me. So, yeah, it wasn't what I went in with, but we'll see how it works.
Dale, you can go next.
I actually got my first choice, though there were some points where I thought that it might alter. And I think just the way I played through some of the encounters with some of the storytellers, NPCs, really solidified it. I went in with Banu Hakim, Ventru, and Nosferatu. I had a really great time playing the Nosferatu in the one-shots and thought that could be a possibility. And I think that a little bit of that experience and just the Nosferatu play style, I guess, and their history will infuse itself into this. I feel like I'm going to be an information gatherer to some extent.
Yeah. I mean, that was part of your history.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I'm going to be real. I played a Nos in a one-shot. Playing Nos is so much fucking fun.
I've been told if I get to be a player again, I must play a Nos by
He
my
does
wife.
them so well.
No, go ahead.
I did a NOS for one of the one shots with our nice Bo here, and
So
we
brilliant.
had a fucking like a bird and a snake, and so we were information gatherers, and we dropped the fucking snake down a chimney
With
to
the
gather
bird, with the
information
owl.
with the bird. Yeah.
It was a gangrel and a Nos, and they were tag teaming with their pets.
Yeah,
Like,
but
there's
you know what?
spiders.
You all missed out on Ricky the raccoon.
Yeah, Ricky the Raccoon
Yeah,
was
we
fucking
did.
brilliant.
Or no, Rocky.
there's-
His name was Rocky the
Rocky
raccoon.
Yeah.
There's so many
What-
things you can do with NOS. It's
Yeah.
just cool.
Yeah.
One of my first characters I ever played was a Nos, and it has a very, very special place in my
They are
heart.
so much
that
fun to
entire
play.
clan.
For those who don't know about Rocky, Dale down there for the audition one shot we went through, he carried around a raccoon
Yeah.
in a baby carrier.
Yes.
And it was a fat raccoon because he loved the food. Carried a raccoon in a baby carrier, and the baby carrier kept wanting to pat people's head while they were driving.
With Dorito dust on its paws.
I tell you what, at some point, if I continue in this community and continue to play, that Nosferatu
Might make a comeback, right?
It was Rico.
It was Rico.
Rico, that's right. Yeah.
Rico.
He he will make an appearance again.
Oh, God. So cute. Oh, my
Yep.
God. Adorable. Anyway, go ahead, Ree.
Sure. So short answer, I did not get my first choice. My original intention was to play a shadow. I had this really interesting idea for a super loyal character to the Camarilla. But as we were going through the session 0, a lot of other options started to come up as I did some more research on the time period and other real life people. And it ultimately culminated in an encounter between basically two would-be sires. And my character had the opportunity to attempt to resist, to fight. And when I kind of looked back through, the fact that he was raised by a World War II vet, I figured there was no way that he wouldn't fight, that he would accept anything, that he would choose not to fight. And because of both him getting away and love, he was able to join the Clan of Death. So we get to see how this is going to work out, which is always a fun opportunity.
I'm not going to reveal your sire. We'll wait for that to happen some point in the story. But when you find out who his sire is, it's going to be really interesting because it's a shame what happened to her.
It is a shame.
Just going to say that. Go ahead, Bo.
Yeah. Again, short answer is yes, I got my first choice. Though I will say I was even going through the session 0, I was tempted time and again to potentially go Kaitif, Toreador. Ended up not going it. I think I liked that idea better, especially as a newer player to Vampire. I didn't want to add another thing on top of trying to learn a basic clan. But I'd say that was really the only other caveat I had was going Toreador and maybe potentially going Kaitif. But yeah, Toreador was my first choice.
Toreador is always a good choice for a first clan, not going to lie.
It really is. My first was Toreador. It was a great clan to get my feet wet with. Same with Red. Her first was Toreador.
It's easy to understand their motivations. It's easy to understand the curse and their power set. And it's really a good clan to start with because it's one that...
It's a good starter clan if you like to play social characters.
Yeah, lets you get your feet in it without anything too odd or real rules and things about yourself.
The typical ones I hear for starters are Venture and Toreador. For me, even Venture was still a little intimidating because you have to understand.
It's more of
politics.
a beginner intermediate for Venture.
Yeah.
Or if
Toreador,
you're just
you
good
don't have
with
to understand the
politics.
politics as much.
Yeah. Nos is a great beginner character if you don't want to play a social type face character.
Every clan, you get what you put into it. But
Yeah.
I found personally that it's easier to learn like Toreador. You see a lot of those in first ones because it's easy to get a grasp on, and it's fun. It is fun. You know,
it's fun to play someone who considers whatever they're good at their art, and it is fun to play someone who's prone to obsessions, and it is fun to play someone who can be a catty bitch.
So we got a question. We got answers from everybody. Mom, and go to the next one.
All right. So Daywalker, which is Gavin, who played Mr. Lamar Cade of Clan I'll Fuck You Up in Windy City. For Timberbrad, Nicholas stepped over the line a lot. He was a habitual line stepper.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, my ass.
Would Nicholas and Andy get along or hate each other?
I think as with, especially in like V5 with Tremere, I guess even like previous thing with Tremere trying to reestablish the pyramid, anybody stepping out of line is a problem. So I think that part of their personalities would clash a lot. Yeah, I don't think they would get along at all.
I don't think Roscoe would get along with Andy either, but for different reasons.
That's probably true, but you know.
And I'm not telling what the reasons are.
All right. So everyone has answered that question. I know that there are some cast members that put questions in chat. I'm going to skip over those right now and get a few more viewer questions, and then we'll come back to the cast questions. Okay. All right. So Sailor Lanhee, Miss Lanhee, love you pieces, girl. Our last game was so much fun. Need to play with you again. Does Katarina hold any negative feelings towards her brother that embraced her? And then I'm going to also combine yours, Lanhee, with Emmy Lou Who's question of, is Katarina's brother Sabat? So, yes, her brother is Sabat. I am posting the link to his Wikipedia page now. Yes, her sire is a lore character.
Okay, of the people at this table, let me see here. We got 1 lore character, 2 lore characters, 3 lore characters, 4 lore characters, 5 lore characters, 6 lore characters.
Everybody's got a lore sire. Definitely he is Sabat. He was basically the bitch of their grandmother. His pack dissolved because he was supposed to be the pack priest, and he sucked at it because he was too busy doing grandma's bidding. But anyway, he basically got embraced and turned into a giant fucking asshole that forgot where he fucking come from. And my character really didn't like that about him.
He was already an asshole.
It just exacerbated it, kind of thing. And so, yes, Lanhee, my character really can't stand her brother. The moment she was embraced in her literally, hangry as fuck, ready to eat whatever fucking walks mode, she looked him dead in the eyes and told him to get out. And he could understand that meant if he ever came across her again, she'd probably kill him. Yeah, so she really doesn't like him at all. We're not having a sweet, a vamp daddy type situation with this character at all, like I tend to do. Yeah. All right, so Calisalvo asks for Shanky. Have you created more work for yourself in that you are planning on redoing the trailer once the players are established in Kansas City?
The trailer for episode 1 will only be played in episode 1 and tonight. There'll be a whole different trailer, a whole different theme, a whole different everything for the episode 2 trailer. I wanted to use the Windy City one because we're starting in Chicago. I want to show what events would transpire that would cause a coterie to just pack up and fucking move. So, yeah, I added work to myself. I suffer for my art. That's all I'll say. Plus, I love doing intros. They're cool.
All right. So I'm going to go to the next question. Let me make sure I haven't missed it. This is why I ask folks to highlight, and I appreciate those who are highlighting for newbies to the chat. Appreciate you. Okay, so Uber Jaeger or Jaeger posted, what of your own personality do you feel is or will be infused into your character?
I can take this one.
Go.
Self-loathing.
Yes.
That is 100% what I will be walking into this starting out with.
Now, the real question is how many of us are bringing our trauma to the table?
It's vampire. Normally, in some way.
I mean, yeah, I've got a brother that's an asshole, so yeah.
The best thing about role-playing games is it lets you explore your own trauma in a safe way. Anyone else want to answer that one?
Yeah. So I can go. Mine is also my trauma. A very specific kind of like perfectionism that stems from almost like abandonment by parents. Tried to go with a more extreme example than what I have. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
I'll give it a go as well. For me, it's a combination of a belief in the law, a belief in the rightness of the law, and the desire to learn more. Just kind of perverted for kindred society.
Everything the beast touches turns out poorly.
I think for me, you might have been able to tell from the intro picture that I am playing a chef. Oh, I guess I also mentioned that. Not that I'm professional, but I do like to cook. You might see me spam the food channel from time to time in the Discord.
So beautiful.
Well, thank you. And, I think I played, like in Demon, I played an extremely naive character. Mm-hmm. I wanted to go in, again, just because of my freshness with Vampire, I didn't want to be so naive, but I still wanted to be someone who has not been around a long time in this world either, and someone who is very much consumed by what he's doing and not so much the outside forces and might have to be pulled into that. So yeah, I think that's about it. Some like the naivete about the game is kind of what I think I'm going to be pulling into this, at least personally.
Anyone else?
I can answer my own question.
Absolutely. I'll go last.
Oh, no, go.
No, please,
go.
I want you to. Go ahead. I'll go last.
No, all right. So I thought that playing Ventru, I could bring in, the hospitality angle in that can be used. A lot of people discount the service staff when you should really be paying attention. And I felt like this Ventru doesn't want to be in charge, but more of like the kingmaker type of Ventru. So learned a lot from, reading about the Nosferatu and how they are information brokers. And I thought that would be a fabulous way for a Ventru to rise through the ranks.
Information is power. Mm-hmm.
Forewarned
and
is forearmed.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm. And the hospitality angle can really put people at ease.
Yeah.
And
is that part of you that you've inserted into the character?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm a hospitality person through
Awesome.
and through.
Awesome.
I do IT stuff because it pays the bills.
I know
and
that
offers
feeling.
me nights and weekends off.
I know the feeling. I do IT because no other job I could do would pay me what I make in IT.
I find it interesting, though, that you really tied in that with the Ventru character, because it really does make sense when looked at from how a Ventru would apply that profession and that whole vocation to their clan. And you did it brilliantly. Way back, I started out in hospitality, so I get it. I know what service staff hear,
They do.
a lot.
And
so,
providing a service and making people comfortable, whether you're
is very important to Ventru.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It is that the noblige. It is very important. But yeah, so it's brilliant. For my character, I wanted to play a character that I could actually utilize my wealth of medical knowledge. I rarely play characters that I can do that. So it gives me a chance to not have to dumb myself down. And also, I really wanted to play on the concept of turning a clan that is typically played in a very edgelord style on its head. And that's what I'm going to deliver with this Samitsi. This is not going to be your I'm crafting flesh horrors every which way and all that shit. No, I'm not an edgelord. What she considers hers is her family. So she has no desire to rule over domain. She doesn't give a shit about domain. She cares about her family. And she sees what her clan has become and how far it has fallen. And she knows that she can be better. As far as what I'm putting of myself in that, beyond just the medical knowledge, I really wanted to put someone who really does not dismiss those that society typically ostracizes. That is very much me. I don't dismiss those people at all. Very supportive. I'm a part of certain communities and a staunch ally to others. So that is a big part of me that I'm putting in it. Not so much exploring a whole lot of my trauma with this character. As I said, I joked and said, yeah, I've got a brother that's an asshole, but I've played enough characters at this point. Whatever trauma I wanted to play in a safe environment to play out as if I had actual power to fucking control it, I've already done that.
It's a shanky game. Don't worry, you'll discover new trauma by the end of this one.
Trauma thrown at me, okay? And plus, I know I'm always going to deal with the trauma of grief and loss because Shanky's always going to kill people that are important to my character. It happens. This is always a thing he does. So it's fine. I know I'm going to deal with that. I've already been through it. It's old hat now. It's whatever.
I'll come up with a new thing to make you do.
All right. So since I didn't realize that was you in Twitch chat, but since that was a cast question, I'll ask a few of the prior cast questions that were in Twitch chat. So House actually asked for the fellow cast, what were some inspirations for your character, whether in pop culture or otherwise? Well, I'll since I already kind of hinted at that, with me, I just, what inspired me for this character, I've had this concept in my head for a long damn time. Probably a good year at this point where, I saw what they were doing when they brought Zemitzi into V5, and I'm like, you know what? There is a way that could be played that isn't even edgelord, and that fucking character could make bank in fucking Boons. Using flesh crafting on kindred that need cosmetic procedures done, that need a new identity. Oh yeah. Boons, 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 boons. And I wanted to play that. So that's the inspiration of my character. Anyone else can go.
Yeah, so I can go. I can't cite like a specific person. I feel like mine is generally like that comic book character that you see like get rescued by like the superhero because they dug too deep into what they shouldn't have. And so like that's kind of like what it feels like it came from. I try and like randomize my characters as much as I can and then build a story around that randomization. And so that's kind of what happened here is that trope I kind of leaned into a little bit.
You know what they say, Red, right? Curiosity killed the snake.
It's a good thing she's not Snake.
Ooh, a little spoilery right there. Just wait, people.
I'll go ahead and give it a go. My character doesn't come from any specific person, but if you've seen any of the, various lawyerly dramas on TV, that character who's trying to do what's right and believes in the rule of law, but they slowly are forced to, make decisions that they wouldn't have done otherwise or wouldn't have wanted to do. So he's kind of meant to be that archetype of character.
Well, that's great for a Shanky game. I like that.
I can go. This character, it's a conglomeration of a few different ideas in pop culture, movies, series, things like that. The idea of the first officer, the chamberlain of a household, you look after those below you and give those above you what they need to be successful so that they can take care of you as well. But over time, you potentially become irreplaceable and very important to the running of the larger entity.
That's very Ventru, actually.
A keystone character.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I will go next. I would say it wasn't so much the intent going in, but I think now looking back, I would say a lot of it comes from Wesley from Buffy. So he's like the Watcher you want to punch in the face. Just very like esoteric book nerd, uppity kind of person is how I imagine this guy.
Fucking brilliant.
So you just described Tremere.
Yeah, well,
I mean, yeah. Except for Roscoe. He was the exception to the rule.
Roscoe was the exception that proved the rule.
Yeah.
For me, I think this character was very based in a lot. I mean, no surprise, I watch a lot of like food related shows, like The Bear, or I think it takes a lot of influence from Ralph Fiennes' character in The Menu. If you haven't seen that movie yet, so just kind of your stereotypical, like 5-star chef, kind of domineering, in control, perfectionist.
At least you didn't say that your inspiration was Chef Ramsay, because I don't need to see you calling someone an idiot sandwich.
I was say that's my go-to move. Get two slices of bread.
Idiot sandwich.
Were you calling somebody a donkey? You're a donkey.
All right. So Red asks, what role do you think your character will have in the group? A face? A tank? Do you think they'll struggle to fit at all? Ree, how about you go first on this one?
Oh boy. So to circle that first part, I see him being more of the intelligence and occulty character with a mixture of that tank, because of the natural disciplines of the clan. The Whether he would fit in, I think, will be interesting. I see as one of the few people not in a Camarilla clan, and especially a clan like the Hikata, where family, where that bond means everything. So it'll be a unique situation to be kind of surrounded by enemies in the spot, but also enemies in the tower. So it'll be fun to kind of see how loyalty transforms into in that situation. So I don't know.
I think for Andy, it's especially with, the Tremere history of just being bastards, how that's going to fit in with like Raylan's character being Zamisi, just general how a dickbag Tremere is going to fit in with anybody that has tact. I think will be a problem. I think especially kind of coming off, since we're starting in Chicago, coming off of who his sire is, and everything that's sort of like happening in Chicago at that time, may also make it difficult for him to fit in.
Shockingly enough, Katharina is not a face. I know, I'm so good at playing those, but no, I'm not playing the face this time. She is highly intelligent. She also has some physical capabilities. So with her natural skills and her supernatural powers that are granted to her from in-clan, she is going to be a bit mental and a bit physical. So she can do some crowd control. She can buff herself up. She can buff up others if need be. She's more of a support character as far as a role within the group. How she'll fit in. She was never Sabat. To be real with you, she's never been Cam either. Yeah, she's been in Chicago a while because it's a big fucking city and it's real easy to get lost in a big fucking city and not be tracked. But yeah, she got there and made some connections with some folks that may be high clan, maybe low clan, but they weren't like big major players in the city. But they were good to her and she was good to them and they formed some bonds. As far as fitting in with the coterie, she's adaptable. As long as what she holds dear isn't threatened by any of them, she'll get along just fine with them. But if they fuck up and endanger what she holds dear, well, that'll put them in their sights.
Yeah, so I can go next. I think that my character is also a more of a support character. She goes hard into the secret side of gathering information. Shocker. She's more like the stealth secrets. She's so young and naive, though, that I don't think she always knows what to do with that information. Which kind of leads me into like how I think she'll fit in. Is I think she has a lot to give to the other people. Like take like Dale and Callum, for example. He knows what to do with the information and how to make it useful. And so I think she gives them like the resources to do those things and for them to then use.
Oh, one thing I want to circle back real quick because it just dawned on me. I missed saying it. She's also going to take on a bit of an advisor role once we get established in Kansas City because she understands how the enemy operates. She's a sect war veteran, but she wasn't embraced during the Sabbat Wars in New York. She was a ghoul. She was a field surgeon for the Sabbat. She knows how they operate.
Yeah, I think just by everyone talking, I feel like there are going to be a lot of situations where everyone's just like, you go talk to them. Like I feel like I'm going to be the face of the group.
You're welcome.
Like everyone, thanks for the support, everyone, as they're standing back there. I think, just naturally, I think that's just where I'm fitting in, knowing Callum as kind of the, I'll say, puppet mastery kind of guy. Like, I think just naturally that's going to be my role. Bo does have a little bit of melee ability, but yeah, I think more or less he's going to be a strong social character. One thing I didn't mention in the background, though, he also, I wouldn't say it's an addiction, but he likes to gamble. He likes going to the casino and having some fun there, which I think could kind of imply a risk-taking personality.
Yeah, I feel like Colin is a support type character that, when pushed, he is very much looking out for the underdog, partially his own personality, also his sire probably gave that to him. He would probably surprise people at moments with just swiftness or violence of action when all other options have failed. So I fully look at myself as a support member of the coterie.
But Katerina will be able to throw a punch if need be. So, yeah.
I'm looking for more than just punches from her.
From her.
Like I said before we started, though, Mama, I feel like our characters are going to just get into a knife measuring contest. Your scalpel versus my chef's knife.
Yeah, mine will do more damage.
So it's not always the size, like you said. It's not always the size that counts.
No.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into any measuring contests.
No. All right. So that handles the cast questions that have been posted in Twitch chat. I'm going to move on to more viewer questions. So P. Dorat, who is known as Aardvark in our Discord server, miss your face, buddy, is Bo a vegetarian?
Bo is not a vegetarian. Very much not so. Though I think it got a good laugh when we were doing character creation, though, because I took the eat food merit, and with like some of his clan of disciplines, like I'm taking like enhanced or heightened senses, which will allow him to actually taste food rather than just being able to consume it. Conversely, to kind of counteract that, I did take the folkloric block for garlic. So I'm a chef who can't have garlic. No
He's a
garlic.
chef that screams no
There's
garlic
any
in
garlic.
His
There's no fucking garlic in this kitchen.
The Italians are not eating there.
Meanwhile, I measure garlic with my heart in dishes.
Oh yeah. There's garlic in a recipe, you double it.
Yeah. Use 2 cloves of garlic. What the fuck is 2 cloves gonna do? Let's do 6.
You meant 2 bulbs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if a guest at the restaurant insists on garlic, you're coming out to the table.
Their ass is getting kicked out.
All right.
Can't wait for family to show up to the restaurant. I just want to see how that goes.
That'll be great. All the Italians coming with no garlic. All right. Emmy Luhu asks, is there any clan that you absolutely would not want to play? remember, Brad, you answered that.
Not anymore.
I won't
Yeah,
play
if you'd-
Salubri, which will piss Brad off even more.
Oh, I'll mail myself to fucking wherever you are, and and this whole thing will end.
Well, I have an answer as
Hang
well.
on. For those
I
that don't know, in Zoom chat, Brad down there likes to have as his background when he's not trolling me with the Shanky the Wicket. He puts his background his Salubri eye. So, yeah, that's why I had to say that.
Go ahead, Ree.
I wouldn't play a Nosferatu, Malkavian, or what's it, the Thin Bloods, because I don't like playing the unattractive characters. You know, just not my vibe.
Hey.
And Malkavians, I don't really like the mental health aspect of it, so I just kind of avoid going there.
One thing that Shanky and I both agree on is that you do not have to play Malkavian to play having a mental health condition as a character. Most of my characters have had depression, anxiety, something, okay? Because most people have something. And they're not all going to get embraced Malkavian. So, we all have trauma, y'all. So, yeah, it's legit. But I understand. I have personally tried to I have played nearly every clan at this point, and nearly. There's only a few I haven't. I really didn't enjoy Ministry. I find them, for me, to be hard mode. Mainly because of their clan bane. But there's an alternate clan bane. There's also what Red and Shanky agreed on for her character is a very creative way to look at the clan bane, and they kind of created a slightly custom one, which is brilliant. I won't go into details because that's not my info to share, but it's very brilliant. It might be more playable to me in that respect if I ever tried that, but the standard clan bane for me was really fucking hard, or the compulsion or whatever it was really fucking hard mode for me, and I just didn't enjoy it. And I don't enjoy playing something that already has the disadvantage of everybody looking at it and saying, oh, you're the corruptor. You're going to lie and be full of shit all the time. Yeah, thanks. Fuck you. Yeah. So I don't enjoy that. So that's not my cup of tea. I tried playing a Malkavian once. I was a lore SPC during one of our one-shots for Windy City, and I absolutely hated playing that character. But it was because of the derangement or whatever that she had was really hard for me to play because it's something I do deal with. And it was really hard for me to go into that and play within that because it's an uncomfortable experience that I have to deal with. So it was really hard. It was social anxiety. And having to play with that in a group is really hard. And so that was difficult for me. So I really probably wouldn't pursue a Malkavian at all. So really my two I would avoid is Ministry and Malkavian. And then of course I played Ravnos in the one shots that we did for table testing, and that was fucking fun, but they really aren't playable long term. And the Salubri are also not playable long term because they're really fucking broken as written. So unfortunately I can't play those because they're just not written right.
Yeah, so I honestly think that I would play any of them given that the circumstance was right. So like I wouldn't play like Salubri or like traditional Salubri in Shinky's game, but like if I have a GM who's willing to work with me on it a little bit to kind of change some of those things.
Love the shade, Red. Love the shade.
I had an idea, Shanky.
It's
I
valid.
Had an idea. You didn't like
It's
it.
valid.
I let you. I acknowledge it, but still love the shade.
Yeah, but it's also like I wouldn't run a Thin Blood here because your games aren't right for Thin Bloods. But it doesn't mean every game ever wouldn't be right for a Thin Blood. The only one I used to say I wouldn't want to play would be Nos, for the same reason as Bree said. I don't want to play ugly characters. I'm sorry, I'm shallow that way sometimes. But I played a Nos in one of the auditions, just because it kind of like I fill roles where needed because I don't have a preference really, and I like the challenge. And I actually had a lot of fun as a Nos, so I can't even say that one anymore.
simply, I don't know enough to have an opinion.
That's fair.
So no, ignorance is bliss in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
And Red, actually, this is the quote that came from right before we started Old Gods this week, or was it Dark Ages? Somebody asked about when I'm going to run a Thin Blood campaign or Thin Blood Chronicle. I said
vampires.
I said I'd rather masturbate with a cheese grater.
They're not vampires.
That's my opinion on running a Thin Blood Chronicle.
Like, I agree. It's not here. But doesn't mean like I feel like there's a situation where it could be fun.
If we had a storyteller who wanted to run a Thin Blood Chronicle on our channel and they pitched it right to Relin and I and the inner circle. Yeah, the inner circle says, yeah, I like let's let them stream. We would let them stream it on our channel.
I won't play it.
But Shanky, no.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's why it's so situational with what people want.
Yeah.
I like the challenge of trying to try those different things, but like a lot of people have like stronger opinions on things, which I know is shocking. I don't have stronger opinions on characters. But yeah.
I think I'd sooner play humans in a vampire game than play Thin Blood. Just for the
Amen. Amen.
The Ghoul Chronicle.
I was just thinking that maybe a Thin Blood hunter campaign, like they are so horrified what they've become that they have pledged themselves to destroy or try to destroy.
And then they get Ed.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like, what if they were like forced to like infiltrate a hunter group for some reason? Like, I don't know enough. I feel like there's possibility somewhere.
Yeah.
Are there any clans that you really will not play?
Who? Dale?
In my research, I think the only one was the Bruja, just because the style, just didn't. I don't think I would enjoy playing a Bruja. I think I could play a Malkavian as like a seer or an oracle, or maybe like a Machiavellian type of, someone who is always trying to calculate all of their different little plans and schemes that they have working. But yeah, all the other ones, like you were saying, I think the Ravnos and the Salubri would be hard to play unless Shanky was going to house rule
them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bruja are tricky. I got to give you that.
Bruja are tricky.
It's so easy to go to the trope. I'm the angry, constantly,
constantly rolling for friends.
Right. It's they're tricky. There is a way to play them. You can play them in a way that isn't.
Sure.
But it's tricky and it's hard for a lot of people. And for some people, it just wouldn't be fun.
Gangrel can also be challenging too.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to play I run around in the woods howling at the moon, it's challenging.
It's challenging.
Yeah. Did I just go in with all hard characters?
Yes, you did.
Yes, Red. You live life in hard mode.
You do.
Yeah.
You're like, give me the challenge. It's fine. I'll deliver. Overachiever.
And you bring up Malkavian, Dale? I'm wearing a
It's
Malkavian
my
signet
trauma.
ring right now. It is my first and most dear clan is Malkavian. So I acknowledge it's not a clan for everybody, and it's one that will get you killed in the Shanky game faster than any other clan. If I catch you fish malking or making light of mental illness, I will murder your character out of hand for that. And I admit it.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was studying, reading through all of these clans, I found the Malkavians very interesting. But when I watched things online, it seemed like there were standard ways that people portrayed them.
There are certain tropes that people like to fall into with that clan. And
from the reading, I found that it would be much more interesting to play them as like a seer type of, like I said, a Machiavellian plotter using their visions to, work out their plans.
The Machiavelli or the Malkavian chess master.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And no one could figure out their chess game because they look at things so differently from everyone else.
That's the problem when you run into Malkavian Methuselahs. Of all the Methuselahs to deal with, sure, you can deal with someone like Sybil's terrifying because of the sheer power. Poor Shove because of her manipulation. Malkavian Methuselah, you don't even know the game being played.
You don't even know the game.
I mean, you may be sitting with a chessboard in front of you. He may be playing Parcheesi and you just didn't know.
Right.
Right.
All right. So I'm going to combine one of Red's questions in chat with one of Gavin, the Daywalker's questions, because they kind of relate to each other. Red asks, who is your lore sire? And Gavin wants to know the fact that all 6 of us have lore sires, if that was intended or a happy accident.
I'm going to answer on the intended part. It wasn't intended for everybody. But as our session zeros played out, and so many people tended to migrate towards Chicago or start in Chicago, it kind of lent itself to tying this chronicle with the previous chronicle and doing the tie-ins of the lore that was there and the lore we've established in the Shankyverse. It kind of made sense to put that as an additional tie between the chronicles. I'm not even going to call it a callback, but it's another link that links the 2 chronicles to show they are...
It's the characters that were embraced in Chicago to that Chicago story.
And it links them in a way... it's not a continuation of the Chicago story, but it is linked to the Chicago story in very real ways because the characters, some of their connections match up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why that happened. Now, if anyone wants to reveal their lore characters, that's their choice. Mama already did.
Yeah, I did. My character, Catalina, was embraced by her older brother, Rurik Rakosi. I actually put a link to his Wikipedia page in chat, if you can scroll back and see the link to the Wikipedia page. So that is her lore sire. So.
I mean, I'll say who mine is. I kind of already said it. Abraham DeSable. So I figured if I was gonna go in full bore.
I'm sure Roscoe Akers would love Abraham DeSable's child. He only threatened the other child, Maldavius, a little bit with Dave the gargoyle.
A little bit.
I mean, you can only expect so much from a Karna loyalist, so.
Yeah, I know. Anyone else want to reveal? Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, were you gonna say something?
No, I'll keep it.
Okay. Mine is I like lore characters, so mine was very intentional. Mine actually didn't come up in it. We decided it after the fact, after session 0. But mine is Marcel.
Yeah. The one fucking Setite Jackie didn't kill.
Now there's more.
Now there's more.
Kidding.
I think mine kind of came about the same way. Again, more ignorance is bliss. During the session 0, we kind of collaborated as a group who might make sense, and my sire is Kathy Glens.
Kathy with a K. Daywalker will like that one.
Yeah, I'm sure the Daywalker will like hearing that one.
I keep trying to come up with a clue to mine, but I can't come up with one that doesn't spoil it, so I'll leave it.
I think Shanky already gave the best clue to yours.
Yeah.
What happens to
it's a shame what happened
story.
to her.
Yeah.
That's enough clue.
Mine, I arrived at in consultation with Shanky, and it kind of worked out as the session 0 went along. Mine is Milena Aranyan. She's the blue collar, blue blood.
Yep. Milena. Brilliant character.
Which means Callum down there has a direct link to the line of Ballard and Sovereign.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's connected to the Ventrue royalty of Chicago.
Technically a descendant of Loden.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Ventrue royalty there.
Yep.
So many back ties to this chronicle, so it'll be interesting.
Actually, I can trace my lineage all the way back.
Of course you can, as any good Ventrue can.
That's right.
I can recite it for you now if you wish.
Oh, you'll get a chance in the chronicle. Don't worry.
He always lets the opportunity present itself. If there's a Ventrue at the table, he will allow that opportunity.
You will get called on your heritage that you get to refute their dispersions by going through your lineage and asking them if they can match that many generations back. Because most Ventrue can get so far before they hit a brick wall and they can't answer anymore.
Yeah. All right. So, Ree, you're going to keep yours in pocket?
Mhm.
Okay. No problem. All right. So, let's scroll through.
It looks like we're running low on questions, which is good because we're reaching the end of when we're doing
Is the
Q&A.
Chronicle timeline before, during, or after Windy City? Shanky, you're going to answer that.
The chronicle will start right after
That's for Aardvark.
for Aardvark. The chronicle, this chronicle starts on episode 1 with them in Chicago on the night after Maxwell and Loden declared praxis against Prince Jackson. They will start this chronicle during the unrest that hit Chicago that caused the main coterie to move to Milwaukee and take over. They're going to start off the night after when shit's really fucked. The Kansas City portion will start about 3 months after that episode. 3 months is about how long it took them to get there, get set up, and do their thing. So expect episode 1 to be a ride.
Emmy Lou, who asks, in the games I've seen Mama play, and her characters seem to be very strong characters and takes the lead. Is that something that you plan ahead of, or is it something that just has naturally happened? Emmy Lou, who you may not know me much personally, but that's just who Mama is. I can't help it. If a group seems directionless, I'm going to point them in a direction. And I'm very skilled at herding cats.
Strong mama bear energy.
Do you mind if I bounce off of that to kind of make a question for everyone?
Sure, go for it.
Like, so you kind of described, like, that's something you do. Like, what are some tendencies you all might have as players that might be like, oh, that's kind of like your calling card in a game? For example, like for me, I wouldn't say I coined the term bullshit check, but like every game you will hear me say, I want to make a bullshit check to see if this person's full of it.
For me, Death Athletics. That started in Wraith. I said Death Athletics instead of Dex Athletics, and it's stuck. I keep saying it. And the second one is when I play a character, as a player, Mama hates me. Her characters hate my characters. There's my calling cards.
Because my husband likes to play assholes.
Stick with what you're good at.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I can fall into the rule that Mama does. But since Mama's here, I don't do it. Because she's better at it, and this is her space. I'm
happy to share the space if you want to take a lead. Sometimes it gives me a break.
Yeah, and we do sometimes. I think the main thing though that happens when I'm here is I will literally like kill my character if it makes a good story. Do not care. Will sacrifice everything for the story.
You and Urian have that in common.
Yeah.
And Timberbrad, too.
Mm-hmm. One thing I will say, Red, you may not even be consciously aware of it, but one thing you do is you are very good at asking the right questions. When a scene is happening where we're trying to plot out things or you think of the things that everyone's missed. and you
It's
ask
the
it.
autism.
Yeah. But you're very good at that. And that is something that you consistently bring in games, and I absolutely love it.
Well, thank you.
Mhm.
I just like big red buttons.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I
And
like
killing your
finding them.
characters.
I like finding them. I like pressing them. I like making new ones to press. Like making new ones for others to press.
No.
I know, shocking, but which is weird because in like real life, I am not a chaos gremlin at all. Like realistically, I know it's shocking. But like I'm a very like I have a routine. I like my routine. I like control and order. And I think that one thing that I love about, and I guess this sort of comes back to the earlier question of why, try and come into another Chronicle is just, I get to let go of some of that and just be like, fuck it, let's see what happens. Which I love. But yeah, it's, you cannot give me a red enough button that I won't push.
I did think of one other thing that I do is I will make the choice that the character will make. Like I try my hardest not to like insert my own decision making.
Yep.
I will do what the character would do.
Mm-hmm.
And we can read your face when you fail that Diablo roll.
Oh, God.
God
Oh, yeah.
damn, that was heartbreaking to watch.
Oh my God. I was so mad.
She spent XP to boost her stats just for a Diablo roll and still
So
failed.
like those last few episodes, Shinky gave us 100 XP. Plus, I have been
dumped it in stats to boost her
and I have
Diablo
been
reroll.
saving up. I have been saving up too for several episodes. So like I had like 150 XP. I dumped all of it into that stupid Diablo roll and then failed it.
Threw 8 dice, got 1 success. Willpower got still only 1 success for 8 dice. It was a Lance moment.
Ugly. It was no Fantasy Grounds was ugly. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it was beautiful. I don't know what y'all are talking about.
But for those that have seen me talk about this before, a story is important. I don't fudge dice rolls. What the dice roll is what happens. If the dice rolls and you die, you fucking die. If the dice rolls and my NPCs die, they fucking die. If the dice rolls and you fail the Diablerie, even though we had a whole story planned that involved you succeeding the Diablerie.
We had a story if we passed, if I failed, or like we had a story for like the after. So whether Brad took over or whether I had to control. Like we had like something either way. It was never a thought in any of our minds that it just wouldn't happen, period.
Yeah.
And then that's what happened. So of course it's the one thing you don't plan for.
The only thing I'll do when I will sometimes adjust how many dice I roll. But once the roll is made, the results are the results are the results. I will not change once the dice are rolled, ever. And it almost got Lamar killed. It almost got Ginny killed when they were going up against Decker. It almost got Roscoe killed fighting Capone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it almost got Nicholas killed a million times every time he frenzied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just, hey, story plans and all, but dice are the dice.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's me telling my story, not the world happening.
Lanhee asks, as for the name of your character, do you already have a name in mind, or does it just come the more you create the life of the character during character creation? I can actually answer that. The way we go into character creation is we come in with basically a character name, a birth year, and a general idea of where they were born and what their situation was when they were born. When their parents married, what.
And a rough timeline, or rough embrace year.
And a rough embrace year.
Which is fluid and changes, as in Callum's case down there.
And 3 clans that could potentially embrace this character. And that's all we go into creation with. And then we start working through a timeline of events from birth until embrace that will shape the personality and the desires and the convictions of this character, and even the skills and such that they have, the skills and talents. And by the time they reach embrace, you can pretty much complete the entire character sheet. Because
Yeah,
you know
no,
where
like the-
Go to
everything
the
is to be
YouTube
like.
channel. Pull up Shanky Session Zero Method.
Mm-hmm.
There's two
Like that-
videos.
that
One has
session-
the horrible red background. Don't watch that one. Your eyes will burn. Just looking at the amount of red.
One with Ravnos Archon in it and Gray in it.
Yeah, that's the
and
good
Red
one.
Ben, because that was really good, showing multiple people doing it. Watch the Session Zero method with those three guys in it. It's a brilliant Session Zero method, but you go in with just bare bones information and then you flesh a life out.
And for this crew of players, it took us. I looked at it. It was close to 10 hours total
Yeah.
to go through all the Session Zero, which is a lot longer than usual. But
We had
damn.
our characters born in a very wide timeline.
And it would have been longer,
was-
but we kind of sped up at the end because we'd done it too long at that point. It was
Yeah.
getting bad.
Yeah.
But it
So
was a good time in itself, at least for me,
Yeah.
my first time through it.
you're getting to play out your character before Embrace.
You really get to know who you were before you're embraced. And vampires don't change much. The blood corrupts, the beast corrupts. You'll be slightly different than you were when you were alive, but a lot of the fundamentals is who you are.
Well, I was going to say the other thing that I really like about the Session Zero, the way you guys do it, is because you start at all of the, you start from birth and all the way, before they were embraced, is you get that sense of what attracted clans to them.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's all, for vampires, it's all about like, I want to take what you have and make us better.
Yep.
And seeing, which is why I love, especially when you come to a Session Zero with people who have multiple ideas of a clan they would want to play, and then come out of it with something completely different, like Red, where it's, you sit there and you have that, the collision of minds, and it's just like, oh, hey, maybe, have you thought
Consider
about this?
this.
Yeah. And it works out so great. Like just like the combination of personalities and clans and everything, I think is going to make this an even more interesting table to sit at than even Windy City was. And even Windy City, it was just all over the place.
I love with this
Yeah.
Chronicle, the clan choices or the clans that the coterie ended up being. It is a number of things that we haven't shown on McStabber Studios as players. It's a number of things that traditionally don't always work well together, or at least lore-wise. But remember, clans are considered in groups, not the individuals. The individuals can have their own opinions.
Right.
And I think it's really going to be interesting to see the external pressure put on this crew. Because here's a little spoiler. The domain they're being given was once owned by another coterie, a coterie that got wiped out by the Sabbat. The other coterie that got wiped out by the Sabbat was, of course, their coterie that they played during the second round of auditions. The auditions were lure to the Chronicle, so they're going to get it. They're in a place where the previous coterie was wiped out. The pressure that's on them to not be the next to be wiped out will either break this coterie or forge them harder than steel. One of the two. The best way to bond a coterie is in the fires.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only way you know to count on each other when you've survived things that you can't believe you survived.
Facts. Facts. Aardvark did ask in chat, side note, how is Loden the cat? Aardvark, Loden the cat is amazing. He is full grown. He is a giant of a cat. Jesus Christ, this cat is so long and tall. It's crazy. He will reach up because he's such a love bug. He's my little love bug. And he will reach up from the floor, put his paws on the counter, and chirp at me to give him pets and kisses.
He's a big boy. He is a big boy.
He is solid black, has one eye because as a young infant of a kitten, he had an injury to his eye where they had to remove it. And he doesn't even notice he only has one eye. He's totally compensated for it. He's perfectly healthy, giant cat, soft as silk, and just the sweetest damn animal.
Yep. He's a sweet boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So Well, that's good. That's all the questions.
Yeah, that is awesome.
So if anyone else at the table here have a question before we end this?
I do actually. Is there anyone that you feel your character will be especially likely to connect with in the coterie?
I mean, just from the background, I think Bo and Callum will have an already established connection. But from something Red had said about wanting to maybe step into that face role, hopefully I'm not misquoting you, Red, but I could see Bo and Gwen bonding over the ability to kind of put themselves front and center when doing social interactions. Again, if I'm misunderstanding what you said.
I totally agree. I think one of the things I did go in with this, I was having a conversation with my husband. I was like, you know what? I have never played like a non-confident, like truly like naive, like outside like my own naivety, just not knowing something, like a truly naive character. Because it's not who I like to be. So I had never played it before. So I was like, oh, I'm going to try it this time. And I think that kind of fits with where she'll relate to people, because like if you like take her under your wing, she'll 100% like go that way. I also think that leading my initial answer, I think that probably will get along with Katarina. I'm kind of I don't know if you see it this way, Mama, but I kind of see, just with Gwen's age, her reminding Katarina of her kids a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And she would probably even remind Gwen a bit of her mother.
Oh, absolutely. Especially because they're both from like New York too.
Right.
And
they're New Yorkers. They're going to bond because they know it's just a way of life to be from New York.
Brad, how are you? Nobody even brings you up. I mean, that's just got, they've already decided they don't like Andy.
Tremere.
I definitely think Andy is going to have trouble making connections with everybody because, like I said, extremely punchable.
And Abraham DuSable, sire.
Yeah.
Tower loyalist.
That is
pyramid loyalist.
Yeah, that is definitely not going to be something that he's going to fight to not get that very well known, considering what he's walking into. But yeah, I think the person he'll get along with the least is probably Katarina. Which is going to be really interesting, considering I think every game I've ever played with Raylan is just like,
along.
Yeah. So
it's the counterpoint to Old Gods.
Yeah.
So are you going to be like the doctor from Lost in Space?
Asshole.
Like I said, like that, like literally the way I imagine this guy right now in my head, without any sort of gameplay, is 100% Wesley from Buffy. It's just like, especially like when he first comes in, all you want to do is just throat punch the guy every time he fucking opens his mouth, and then maybe over time he becomes lovable. But let's be fair, as the only person who will tell the Tremere lovers what they need to hear as opposed to what they want to hear, all Tremere deserve to get punched in the throat. So we'll see. I'm cautiously optimistic. More emphasis on cautious.
I actually see Katarina for the most part. Well, maybe not with Andy, because Andy's just a fucking Tremere asshole. But literally, she will, for the most part, be able to get along with everyone in the coterie, even Aventru, shockingly, as a Zamitsi. But because he's not the I'm going to rule over you and everybody else type of Aventru. And Bo is not the, I'm a hot little socialite Toreador. So, it basically, these are all generally amicable fucking people that she'll be able to get along with. But I would say probably the ones she would be drawn to be possibly closest to are going to be Gwen and also going to be Rashad, because they are underdog clans within the tower.
One thing I'm interested about the future dynamic between our characters, Mama, is I could very much see my character looking at what you do as far as a plastic surgeon as artistic, where
Oh,
you
it
might
absolutely
push back
is.
on you.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something, would you, Katerina, appreciate that notion or push back that, no, this isn't an art project?
Well, it's not for her. It isn't an art project. She's
Right.
doing, okay, I'm going to give a hint into her backstory. When Katerina, she's an older kindred of this group. But because she came up, she was embraced in 2003-ish, and she's in her 40s when she was embraced. So when she was a young teen, one of her friends came out to her as trans. And something bad happened to that friend. And because of that, and she had already since early childhood shown an interest in her father's work. Her father was a surgeon. And she, wanted to be like her dad. And so she ended up, but that motivated her because her friend was safe with her, but not with that friend's own family. And she wanted to give those individuals someplace safe and give them the life that they want to live. So that's why she went into the specific type of surgery that she does. And she doesn't see it as an art project. It's more than that to her. It is her life's work to give back to a community that needs to be given to.
It's going to be really interesting to see how she reacts to the main early Chronicle villain.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler: the Chronicle villain was in an episode of Windy City. One episode.
I was going to say, is the early main Chronicle enemy Shanky?
Nope. One episode. I'm not going to tell you which one.
I feel like Colum and Katerina would get along. One, we're closer in age when we were before we were embraced. Two, we both like taking care of those who are normally overlooked.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we'll have that connection maybe there.
You're playing a Ventru, and I can tell you now, I've yet to see a game where at some point the Ventru did not become the rock that the coterie needs.
Mm-hmm. Ventru tend to be a very grounding influence in a coterie. They really do.
They're the ones that don't budge, they don't give.
Mm-hmm.
They are the rock that the coterie can form around.
Yeah, and if you're built right, you're the fucking fortress.
Yeah.
Not just physically.
Not just physically, emotionally, even as supportive to the coterie. You're the fortress. You're the safe haven. So
right.
Yeah, that and absolutely, like I said, I don't see that she would. I mean, except with the exception of Andy, because he's an asshole Tremere. I don't see her necessarily not getting along with anybody in the coterie, and she could probably even tolerate Andy in very small fucking doses before she'd start running off at her mouth, because she is from New York. But
Yeah,
And Andy's from Detroit, so I can't imagine he's short of opinions either.
Exactly. I mean, they're going to have strong opinions. And I'm sure they have arguments that sound like they're going to be on the verge of violence, but never are violent, because that is their violence, is their arguments. Yeah.
Mm.
Go ahead. I heard you were going to say something else, Callum.
I feel like Andy and I would also butt heads, because Callum is very much likes to turn particularly the verbal psychological tables around on hypocrites, assholes who are just being assholes for the sake of being an asshole.
So you don't like any Tremere?
Probably not.
I'm very interested to see how Rashad fits in, because from what we know about him, how the session 0 went, he feels like a very introspective kind of, I don't want to say reserved character, because I know you as a player and I don't see you playing reserved, but with just how very much it felt like it's Rashad has a mission. He's kind of, I don't want to say one track minded, but like
very focused
on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dedicated.
I'm interested to see
Dedicated.
how, yes, thank you. A group, another 5 people, either as a boon or a bane to what he wants.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Gwen and Rashad could appreciate that with each other too. The one track like focused towards something. Sorry, go ahead, Ree.
I was going to say, I think Rashad and Andy would actually get along relatively well. He would respect someone who's with that reputation of being a perfectionist. You know, he would agree naturally that they're better, but you know, second place is good too. I also think he would understand Calum a bit more based on reputation, since both of our clans have a very strict, rigid kind of balance to him. So I think they get along, at least if not friends, but in a respected co-workers kind of way. So I think those would be two things that I think Rashad would respect.
Going back to something that was brought up earlier about being the face, I feel like I'm going to be the face in the restaurant and hotel side of things. I wouldn't shy away from being the face outside of that. And I imagine, you know, there's going to be other social events or whatever that I will be the face of, but I would always defer to someone else who would volunteer to be the face.
I really think with how we have created the characters that there isn't going to be necessarily a dedicated face in this coterie. I think it's going to be a situational face.
Mm-hmm.
And because even my character has some like charisma skills and stuff, because she has to interface with patients and other medical staff and stuff like that. So she has a niche that she's very good at socializing.
Well, and if you've got to negotiate with Sabat, because that's going to be a problem.
Right.
They're not going to listen to a venture at all, first of all.
No, they'll listen to a Zamitzi.
You are to them
Right.
the tower lick spittle.
Yeah.
Right.
So you'll
And
have to rely on other people for that.
Yeah. And I would know that, and I probably wouldn't intercede in any of that. You know?
Right.
And I have the expertise of knowing how they operate, so I would be the one sent to interface with them.
And it goes back to what we were talking about before. This is going to be a totally different Chronicle, a different feel for it. You know, Windy City,
Pretty, y'all.
Windy City, a Ventrue-run city. The Ventrue had to be the face. This is a Ventrue city. This is a Malkavian city, and a Malkavian that survived as a Camarilla loyalist in a Sabat-run city. He's going to be the oldest kindred that they know of in the city.
And the way I see Andy, I don't necessarily see Andy as being like best buddies with anybody in the coterie, but it wouldn't necessarily be that they don't get along. I think it's with him, he would notice that each individual he's in a coterie with is kind of specialized. They all have their unique, really competent skills. So he sees them more as beneficial associates, I think, where they fill in gaps in things that he doesn't have.
And
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that's a really fair assessment. He's not, you know, going into this trying to be best buds with anybody. It's an
working
association of
relationship.
convenience. Yeah.
And we've broke 2 hours, so we're going to, this will be it.
There.
I do want to point out, Kalisawa, you mentioned earlier about adding work for me. Fantasy Grounds did an update that just fucked up everything that I've spent well over 80 hours, probably well over 100 hours putting into Fantasy Grounds. Half the powers are gone. All the merits are gone. Their update really fucked up my Fantasy Grounds. So I'm going to have to roll back, hope I can recover using the old client. If not, I'm going to be rebuilding on an old version of the client, because fuck this new client. They broke everything.
They broke everything.
Yeah, I've got even more work. I'm not happy.
Luckily, the Tremere gave you some time.
Yeah. So I do thank everyone for coming. I think the cast, I'm looking forward to this Chronicle, honestly.
This is going to be so much fun, y'all.
I think we got a good cast here. We're already starting to see some of the dynamics build up. As everything in the Chronicle, especially the new streamed Chronicle, the first season is going to be a lot of feeling each other out. That's how it is.
Yeah.
But expect them in season 1 to go through some shit that will force them to either work together or half the cast will be dead.
Yeah.
That's a Shanky game.
That's
you
a
work
Shanky
together or you fail.
Mhm.
And failure in a Shanky game means death.
Ash party.
Yep. That happens.
So positive.
Yep. I do not give anyone plot armor.
Nope.
It's just the way it is. You don't pull punches because if there's not a risk of losing your character in a Shanky game, you don't feel as good about it at the end
Yeah.
when you triumph in your own stories that you're telling.
Yep.
So,
That can be assured.
oh God. Dan. I hate you, Dan. I don't know why. I don't know why I put you in here. Damn it, man.
You know you love
I know. So, as we're going out, as always, as we're leaving, please join us on our Discord. This cast come from the Discord. Some of them quite new. Dale down there. Some of us have been around for a while since the beginning, just about. All the casts come from here. We also do Zoom hangouts. We used to do them weekly, but we had to put some boundaries.
We have the energy to do that.
Yeah, we had to put boundaries because all the shit going on. It was getting tough to get that going. But we'll do one at some point, either this weekend or next weekend. Who knows? And of course, we got a good community over there. We got nice people. Like to talk not just about Vampire, but games in general, even non-games things. We got a good crew, always trying to help each other out. So, seriously, Discord's also where you find out new info first. Everyone on the Discord knew this game was coming. Most other people hadn't seen it yet. So, just letting you know on that. If you want to catch back episodes of all our older Chronicles and soon to be this one, YouTube is where all our back episodes of everything is kept. All the previous Chronicle of Vampire, where the tie-ins work, Wraith, Demon, good Lord, Werewolf, Changeling, Bluebeard's Bride. Oh God, we've got so much stuff. But if you want to see D&D or Call of Cthulhu, you can't see that on the McStabber Studios YouTube. You got to go to Ishvale because our DM of our D&D and Call of Cthulhu, that's Tiss, our Dr. Tiss, and she's on her own YouTube. If you want to see some amazing content creators, check out our friends. One of them is in this stream. That way. Yeah, there you go. You'll figure out the direction. It's down that way. That's Mischievous Red. Pop over to her channel. She streams when she wants to. It's her choice. It's her channel.
I'm actually going to start doing it more again.
See? That's her choice, her channel. She does what she wants.
Yay!
So give her a follow. Revnos Archon runs our Old Gods of Appalachia. So
And our mage stream.
and our mage streams.
Mhm.
And the RPG table, that's Junie Von Esch. You can see her in the Dark Ages game.
Yeah.
Which Mama will talk about when we get to the schedule.
Mhm.
So you're aware, bits and donations. Those goes to the players, not the studio. The only thing the studio keeps out of bits and donations is the taxes, because I'm sorry to tell you this, but Uncle Sam taxes everything this channel makes,
Yep.
even if it's not a lot,
Nope.
and it
'Cause
gets painful.
Sure ain't an income, y'all.
Yeah, it's sure ain't an income. It's a way for you, the viewers, just to give a little something back.
Yeah.
We're never making money off this. Not even the players are making a profit on this, but
Nah.
it's just a way to give back. If you want to help the studio, subscribe on Twitch, pop over to our Ko-fi, or if you watch on YouTube, this is a free way to support the studio for absolutely free. You can click the notification icon, subscribe to the channel, and then comment on the videos. And that is a free way to support the studio because that gets us more visibility, which means more people will see it, which means, visibility goes up. It's a rat race.
And thank you, Manager and Aardvark, for showing off your biddies.
Yep.
for
And
cast.
somebody gave some earlier. I don't remember who it was.
I didn't recall. I didn't see it because I was pausing chat to make sure.
Yeah, I
had
was busy.
questions.
But I do thank everybody for that. Trying to think. I think that's, you want to get some merch? There's some McStabber Studios merch. Go to our merch store. The merch store doesn't have any Kansas yet, but I'm sure it will. But it does have Chicago stuff.
Shit happening.
It does have studio stuff. And eventually, hopefully before the end of season 1, we get a nice movie poster style Kansas City picture like we had for Windy City, because we love the big poster styles that make it look like we're actually in a movie.
Mhm.
We had them for Windy City that updated with the cast changes. hopefully we get a chance to put one for this one because we love those. And now I can turn it over to my wife for the schedule. And boy, is it a schedule.
All right. So first and foremost, I'm going to say the first session of Kansas City, A Domain Divided, will be 2 weeks from tonight. It will be on October 20th at 8 p.m. Eastern. So we hope to see you all there in 2 weeks. Friday evening, the 20th at 8 p.m. Eastern. But coming up over the next week, dun, dun, dun. Tomorrow, there's no streams because our amazing European GM, Dr. Tiss, is on a break. But she will be returning on the 14th with Call of Cthulhu 7E at 3 p.m. On Wednesday next week, the 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern. Oh, sorry, I skipped Sunday. Sunday at noon Eastern, running until about 8 p.m., maybe 10 p.m., depending on how many episodes Shanky gets in it. You can check us out for the marathon of Windy City After Dark. We are picking up with season 4, where we left off the last time. Last weekend, we needed a little break. We were having a lot going on. We needed a mental health day. But this weekend, it will be resuming. And you can check that out. Tune in. Just have it running in the background as you do other things. It'll be running all afternoon into the evening. So check that out. And then, of course, on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, we will be here for not Windy. I keep talking about Windy City. For Dark Ages, our Dark Ages V20 V5 Hybrid Chronicle. Y'all, we have a freaking mage that is the Dark Ages version of Celestial Chorus as a freaking Catholic Inquisitor.
With true faith.
With true faith. Fucking around. We need to kill it. We need to kill it.
You know, when the players decide between seasons that their allies are going to be a bunch of supernatural friends, I'm going to bust out an enemy that matches.
You might need a bigger box.
Yeah, so we're going after that. So definitely join us Wednesday evening for that. On Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, we will be here for the second episode of our short run chronicle, our campaign of Old Gods of Appalachia. You will see me, not Timber Brad, because he's going to be out that session, Shanky, with Ravnos Archon and Rev Ben Powers as we resume our roles as folks in the late 1890s in Salem, Virginia. Messing with some damn haints, I swear.
Not me. I'm just planning to kill somebody by the name of Barrow.
Hey, you know.
Who happens to be played by Rev Ben Powers. There's a tradition of his characters dying, so, you know, somebody's got to do it. You know.
So, that's it. That's on Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern.
2 weeks, people.
Yep. And then 2 weeks, we will be here on Friday, the 20th. So.
And as always, everybody, when we end these streams, at least when it's run by Mama or I, mental health. It's not a joke. It's not a laughing matter. We take mental health very seriously here. Please take your own mental health seriously. And if you suffer from mental health, first of all, I do want to tell you it's okay to not be okay. But I also want you to reach out to those around you. A lot of people around you, they may put on a good face, they may mask it well, but there's a lot of people who are struggling. And sometimes it just takes somebody saying, you okay, asking about them, checking in on them, to be a lifeline that can help them get off a cliff edge that they isn't healthy.
Check your friends that always seem to have all their shit together, because I guarantee they don't.
Yeah. And if you suffer from mental health issues, like many of us do, please reach out to your own support network. I know a lot of you, there's a stigma attached to it. Stigma shouldn't be there, but it's hard to change that. It takes one day at a time to change that. And so if you don't feel you can reach out to your support network, in chat right now is a list of numbers. You can call or text 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There'll be a professional on the other end of the line. It's anonymous. They will be that lifeline you need, and they will help you out. And if you're not in the U.S., we have a number of non-U.S. viewers, or if you're watching this on YouTube, findahelpline.com. Go to that website, put in the country that you're in, and you will get all the support networks available in your country. Because mental health is health, and we take it very seriously, and we want you to be around and to do what you have to for your own well-being.
Absolutely. And those lines serve as support If you are in crisis, there is no charge involved with them. They are completely free. Please utilize them if you are in crisis. If you happen to just be struggling and are not currently in crisis, there are also resources available to you out there. Look at your local Department of Social Services. They usually offer counseling services for folks that are low income. And also, if you are employed, your employer should have, if you get benefits from them, should have an employee assistance program. That is highly underutilized worldwide. So please utilize your benefits that you work for and get that employee assistance benefit, because I guarantee you they will offer counseling sessions that are covered completely free, or even have coaching if you have a specific issue. I personally took advantage of that with my employee assistance program, and it was amazing. Okay. At the time, we didn't have benefits because of Shanky being changing jobs and there being a delay before his benefits kicked in. I couldn't have access to my therapist when I needed him. So guess what? I used my employee assistance program and I got the care I needed for free. So utilize that. Also, I'm McStabber. I'm a registered nurse. Please, it is flu season. Get your flu shots. And get your COVID boosters, because the COVID is widespread again and getting just ridiculous. And those who are unvaccinated are significantly higher rates of hospitalization and even placement in ICUs. Unvaccinated folks ain't doing well, y'all. So please get your vaccines. Oh yeah, and that test alert on the phones and stuff didn't turn all us vaccinated folks into zombies. So
I heard that it was going to activate the 5G microchip in us.
I was disappointed. I was tired because it's been hell week at work. I took a nap. I woke up. I wasn't a fucking zombie.
Look,
I mean, I had plans to meet people for zombie coffee and brains. I was
told I was going to get superpowers from my shot. I was going to become Magneto. And they lied to me.
I still want my damn 5Gs. Same, Calisalvo, same.
I want my 5Gs and the Wi-Fi.
And the Wi-Fi's.
I turned my phone off and put the aluminum foil on my head.
I mean,
I was waiting.
I took a nap and woke up and was disappointed I wasn't a zombie, because I had a coffee date with some other fellow vaxxed people that we were going to get coffee and brains.
Dale was trying to get ultra superpowers. He was trying to make it up a level. He had the tinfoil helmet so it would amplify, and he'd get like double the power.
Lonnie was ready to call off from work. I mean, so.
Yeah, I've been wanting to call in dead. Yeah, I can't make it to work today. Why not? I woke up dead.
But yeah, please, don't buy the misinformation. Vaccines are what save lives. They do not necessarily prevent you getting the illness. They make you more resistant to the worst effects of an illness that can be deadly. Okay? That's how vaccines work. That's why when you get a flu shot, you can still get the flu. You're just not going to get as sick from the flu.
Yeah.
Okay? So really, get your vaccines. And please make sure you are registered to vote and vote accordingly, because the GOP has proven they cannot govern. And they're not going to instantly learn how to overnight. So please vote accordingly. And Ohio, anyone in Ohio, you need to make sure you are ready to vote this year, because there is an election this year with some ballot measures that are very important. You need to make sure you are aware of those and vote accordingly. Said with love.
Emmy Lou, who had a question for you?
Oh, she did? Mm-hmm. Mama, how often should you get the COVID booster? Typically, when you sign up for a COVID booster, it will ask you if you have gotten a shot for COVID within a certain time period. If you have gotten a booster within that time period, you are not eligible for the booster.
But at a minimum, when a new variant comes out and they release the new booster that helps against it, you should get it.
You should check and see if you can get it, because if you haven't gotten, and I think it's like, I think it's like 2 or 3 months or something like that. So if it's been longer than that, you're fine to get the booster.
If I go get a booster every week, does that mean my superpowers from the 5G?
You can't get a booster every week.
Damn it.
They won't let you.
I was wanting even more superpowers.
But seriously, if you got your booster last year, you're fine to get a new booster.
The the current vaccine I was reading was intended to be more like that annual flu shot where it happens every year with an update.
Yes,
At least that's the plan. Obviously, can't prove that yet because it's future, but that's what I was reading.
Yeah, because I don't see COVID going anywhere, y'all.
And before we sign off, we're about to sign off. I just do want to say, buy yourself some popcorn because this week, Shenanigans in the House is going to be popcorn worthy to watch a bunch of idiots try to elect a speaker when none of them understand what the word leadership means.
No.
It's going to be hilarious.
Give them lessons on leadership because it's something I just do naturally. But no.
So I do thank everyone. Good night, everybody. We'll see you Sunday, maybe. We'll see. Good night.
Good night.